Hey, Larken Rose here, and the theme for today's video is that being nice is bad. Okay, sometimes being nice is bad, and I'll explain why. This again ties into the psychology of statism. Just did a video about how when the general public gives a massive double standard to both politicians and enforcers of the state, they get away with heinous things because they know not to expect the same retaliation and punishment. If the people can't fathom imposing justice on their rulers, and the rulers know they have nothing to fear no matter what they do, why do you think they wouldn't just turn into psychos? The positions will attract people who are already psychos, and whoever gets there, when they realize I can boss people around and kind of do whatever I want and nothing's going to happen to me, they're going to be evil psychos. But on a more sort of personal, individual level, let's narrow it down to just one enforcer. We're going to cover cops and soldiers. Well, let's do soldiers first. There's some kid, and he's, comes from a not that rich family, and he's like, oh, if I join the military, they'll pay for this, that, the other thing. And look around and look how much everybody is like thanking all the soldiers for their service and praising them and glorifying. I want to be one of these people that everybody glorifies. For doing what? For committing violence on behalf of the worst people in the world. But we're not going to phrase it like that. We're going to say, defending our country or something, which the U.S. military has never done. Now, there's lots of people who are opposed to war and recognize that war just benefits the psychopaths in power. It's not ever really about protecting anybody or spreading freedom or democracy or anything of the sort. I mean, spreading democracy, even if it really was that, would still be worthless for reasons I've talked about before. Be that as it may, if some young kid sees nothing but praise for our brave men and women and soldiers and the military, our troops are the bravest, blah, 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 of course, psychologically, there's going to be like no resistance to him doing that as far as like peer pressure and public opinion. If he never hears anybody saying, yeah, soldiers, they're just unthinking thugs of the worst people in the world. They may join up with good intentions. Lots of them do, precisely because everything they hear is this propaganda that says, you'll be brave, you'll be all you can be and be this brave warrior for freedom. No, you won't. You'll kill people that politicians tell you to kill. That's the job. That's literally the job. And if, some stupid kid is like, well, government's going to pay for my college if I go sign up to be a pawn of the war machine, and everything they hear is like, oh, God, I'm glad to hear it. That's, builds some character, blah, blah, blah. My family, my father, my uncle, they were in the military, and blah, 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 blah. And it reinforces the idea that that's a brave, noble pursuit. How many kids do you think would sign up for the military if even, let's say half of their neighbors were still being flag-waving, nationalistic, oblivious supporters of the warmongering, and the other half was like, ew, don't do that. You're just a pawn of evil people. And by the way, they're not going to give a shit about you either. They're going to treat you like crap. You may get maimed or killed, and then they won't really give a damn. You're disposable to them. There's nothing noble about it. There's nothing moral about it. You're just pawns being used by the worst people in the world. If a kid hears that, especially from former military people, and a lot of them are now saying that, the kid's going to be like, okay, maybe I don't want to do that. And that's not a kid. My example isn't like somebody trying to be evil. Somebody's like, I can't wait to go murder people. Just some normal person. Normal people are very much persuaded by peer pressure and what they hear from people around them. And I know there's lots of people that recognize the U.S. military as a profoundly destructive, evil, terrorist organization. But they don't like saying that because a lot of other people still imagine that it's a force for defending our nation and fighting for freedom and all the BS that the politicians pitch. So people, to be nice, don't speak out. And they don't thank them for their service. They didn't serve you and me. They didn't serve freedom. They didn't serve justice. They didn't serve peace. They served political psychopaths in the war machine, and that's all. That's all they did. That's all the military ever does. And it's something people don't want to hear, so it can feel not nice saying that to people. Well, I don't want to offend people like my father was in the military or his, because lots of people have these allegiances and these feelz that are going to be hurt if you point out that the thing they're worshiping is actually a giant terrorist organization. Whether you want to hear that or not, obviously it's a big thing that uses violence to serve the political agenda of the U.S. ruling class. That's not in any way disputable. That's just a literal description of what the U.S. military does. And they do it by way of bombing places and taking over places and shooting people. And the fact that sometimes they're blowing up other nasty people who are also violent gangs trying to take over places, like, that doesn't make them the good guys. It's like if the Bloods and Crips are terrorizing some neighborhood, well, they're fighting other bad people. Does that make them good? No. But decent people who figure out that the military isn't at all what it was pitched as and isn't a force for good and doesn't do a thing, not in the tiniest degree, to protect the freedom of Americans, the people who realize that but who are nice, decent people, their tendency is, well, I don't want to say stuff that's going to offend my neighbors, so I'll just keep it to myself. And I'm not even saying, like, constantly offend everybody as much as possible. I'm almost saying it. No. But I am saying if the opportunity presents itself where you're somewhere and somebody in front of you says, yeah, the tropes protect our freedoms, if you know that's a ridiculous lie, and you know that other people are hearing this, to allow that to go unanswered, like no opposing viewpoint, you're not going to say anything about it because you don't want to offend people, when there's some young, stupid kid ready to sign up to go get his head blown off on the other side of the world, that's not actually being nice. Choosing to not hurt people's feels in the moment, if it results in young people getting blown to smithereens, or young people getting traumatized because they become agents of evil and commit murder, that's not nice in the long run. So actually, maybe the title of this video should have been, what may look nice in the short run is not nice in the long run, but that's way too long and complicated a title. But so let's move now to the example of the cop. Because lots of people are like, oh, our brave men and women of blue. Now, that's been changing recently because even among former cops, I know lots of former cops who can't stand current cops because they're power-happy, sadistic bastards. And not that hasn't been the case for a long time, but there used to be, in a lot of places, cops that actually, they did their job intending to protect their neighborhood and the people they know, when it's more local, where they're actually there trying to stop actually bad people, but otherwise leave people in peace. Now, it's kind of a long time ago, and how often did they really do that, and how often did they look the other way when government thuggery was doing immoral stuff? So I'm not pretending. It used to be, what's Andy Griffith show version of sheriffs. But that used to at least sort of be a thing. I actually grew up in a town where everybody knew all the cops, and they were a lot less abusive than almost anywhere. They weren't on a power trip because all your neighbors know you and they know where you live. And that ties in perfectly with the point of this video. Because if all your neighbors are like, you suck, we hate you, you randomly harass people, how fun do you think it's going to be for that guy to live in that neighborhood? Not very fun. Now, they're perfectly nice if you actually, try to act as an agent for justice. Like, if there's trouble and somebody calls you, you come running, you try to de-escalate. If there's actually a nasty threat, then you do whatever you have to stop it. Like, if you do that stuff and all your neighbors go, cool, well, we like having you around. Like, whether you have a badge or not makes no difference to the morality, but we like having you around if you demonstrate that you're a decent human being. Most cops are not decent human beings because their job is use force against anybody who disobeys the politicians. That's what law enforcement literally means. It doesn't mean protect people. It doesn't mean serve the people. It means use violence on behalf of a ruling class to make people comply. That's just what the term means. And now more and more, you're actually seeing, I mean, the AP ran a story of a while back, I think it was years ago, of a lot of police departments saying, like, we're having trouble getting new recruits and getting people to sign up because everybody hates us. Well, guess what? You earned that. Because not only there are a bunch of sadistic, power-happy, evil asshole cops, there's lots of them. Oh, yeah, but they're just bad apples. Not only are there those bad ones, there's also all the other bad ones who don't do anything about that. So any cop who's on, you know, NYPD or something, or really just any police force of any significant size, are you really going to pretend you haven't seen your fellow gang members doing evil and illegal crap? You know you have. Did you do anything about it? Did you arrest them? Did you try to stop it? No, you know you didn't. You've earned the hatred of the people. And the thing is, if a bunch of people, by the way, I was one of the people I'm describing now, if a bunch of the people were raised to think, well, law enforcement is there to protect us, I thought that when I was growing up, conservative and sort of constitutionalist leaning. And I lived in a little town where I wasn't seeing police abuse. So it was easy to believe the fairy tale of police exist to protect the people, protect and serve. No, they're thugs of the state. And the state is an evil, violent, parasitical gang of psychopaths. That's who they actually serve. That's who they actually work for. But if somebody hears that propaganda, like I did growing up, and they never hear anything else, of course, anybody thinking of becoming a cop is going to have all this pressure towards, yeah, that's a noble profession. Now, I know some people who became cops and very quickly unbecame cops because they were decent human beings. And they quickly saw, ooh, if I want to do good things, this is not the way to do good things. Like, it's okay, I'll be a good cop within the system. And 5 seconds later, you can't be a good cop inside the system. You'll get ratted out, you'll get fired, you'll literally get killed by your fellow gang members if you start ratting out the evil crap they're doing, which has happened over and over again. So, when you meet, first of all, self-preservation still applies. When you meet a cop, try not to piss him off so much that he shoots you. I'm not suggesting people go martyr themselves all over the place. But I think in that case, it really is detrimental to the future of humanity to be nice to a cop. They're violent gang members. And so when we got pulled over, it was especially annoying. I got pulled over. What sticker was... it was our registration in Arizona, because I lost track of how you do it, and the registration and some other thing are separate, and I thought they were both done, and whatever, because we mostly comply with that stupid thing just so we don't get pulled over by the fascists. Well, I got pulled over by the fascists, by a state trooper, and I literally said, we try to keep up with those things just so you thugs don't rob us, like you're doing right now. And it was sort of a young guy. Now, I suggest sort of, testing the waters and see if this is going to be like some sadistic psycho who's going to kill you. This one didn't seem like it. So I just said, yeah, those laws are completely idiotically bogus and immoral, but mostly we go along with it for the specific purpose of avoiding you doing what you just did, which is threaten me with violence by turning on your lights and then robbing me for not having a sticker on my car when I didn't threaten or harm anybody. So I just said that to him, and he handled it pretty well. And I didn't have with me proof of insurance, but I said, yes, we're insured, and right now I can't get Amanda on the phone to send me the proof of that. So he's like, well, I'll give you a warning about this, and I'll give you a ticket for the insurance thing, but if you send in proof of insurance, it goes away. And I was like, okay, fine. But I didn't, thank you, officer, for harassing me and threatening me with violence and temporarily kidnapping me. So it turned into nothing because we were insured and I sent them the proof and that went away. That was just the first time. So like a day later, it was a day or two later, right around our house in Phoenix, we get pulled over by fascists who are literally just lurking parking lots looking at license plates. So we get pulled over by two young fascists, guy and a girl. And they come up to the window. They're like, do you know what it is? Like, yes, I know why. It's the same damn thing we got pulled over before by the state troopers. But since you're local fascists, I'm sure you're not going to give a crap and you're going to try to rob us too. And I wasn't even yelling, wasn't mad, but I was talking to them as what they are, thieves and thugs. And I was like, really? We're in Phoenix. Like, there isn't enough real crime. You have to go around trying to rob people for not having the right stickers on their cars. You really think that's how you protect and serve the community? And they were getting sort of defensive. I said, you're glorified tax collectors. That's what you do. You're looking for excuses to steal money from productive people, like you're trying to do right now. And so, but I talked to them just like that. And again, they didn't show signs like there was somebody who's going to shoot me. We're sort of in a busy area in a parking lot. But they were getting all huffy, and when they drove away, they're like, okay, well, rah, rah, rah. And he's like, and he tries to like explain shit. And I was like, cops never know the law. I already know it better than you. Don't bother with the spiel. Just give me the damn thing and get out of here. And so they were all huffy, and they like drove away in a huff and like peeled out because they're mad. Are you all bitter that I described you as what you actually are, which is thugs and thieves and glorified tax collectors? But I assume those two, now I don't know anything about them other than from that brief encounter. I assume those two joined up thinking that we're going to be a force for good. They probably grew up in a family that respects law enforcement and imagines law enforcement to be something other than violent thugs for the ruling class. So for them to hear that from me, they might just go, oh, you mean you say those things about... Hopefully they'll even think about it and go, well, yeah, we do spend most of our time just giving people tickets for dumb shit when they haven't harmed anybody. And that's not in the best place of Phoenix anyway. So yeah, there's a bunch of real crime going on there. You could be doing something about that instead. But imagine, so that was me being like, I mean, I was civil, I was calm, I wasn't screaming at them, but I was being obviously critical of their career choices and describing what they actually are, describing it accurately. Imagine if every single time they pull somebody over, that happens. Because think of the psychology inside their heads. If they pull somebody over for, you didn't have the right sticker, the person's like, oh, I'm so sorry, officer, blah, 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 blah. That person is conveying, you are right to have threatened violence against me by putting your lights on. You are right to steal a bunch of money from me because I don't have the right sticker on my car. You're the good guy and I'm the bad, disobedient slave. I mean, law-abiding citizen. So I'm so sorry. I'm going to be literally apologetic to highway robbers. If that's what they experience day in and day out because the people are trying to be nice or just because they're indoctrinated statists, why the hell would those people ever choose to stop being thugs of the state? They won't. But if every time they pull somebody over for some dumb, like the tint on your window or the sticker on this or whatever the hell it is, just arbitrary crap designed to give an excuse for them to rob people, if every single time, even if every time people just complied and said, give me the stupid ticket, you thieving piece of crap, may challenge it, may pay it. Either way, I'm not going to call you sir or ma'am or officer. I'm going to say you're a freaking road pirate. You suck. You produce nothing, and you go around robbing people who are actually productive. You should find a new career because right now you're being a shitty human being because you chose a shitty career. How many people do you think would stay there if everyone they pulled over said that? Keep in mind, as I mentioned before, the Associated Press already reported that a bunch of police departments were saying, for the first time, we're having trouble hiring enough people. And one of the reasons they gave is people don't like cops. And people don't want to join up because lots of people don't like cops. Well, that's with a pretty small percentage of people actually speaking their mind to thugs pulling them over. If it was everybody, nobody would do that. And by the way, one of the best examples of this is the IRS, which has had just a ridiculous turnover rate forever, where they can't hire people fast enough, because if you work for the IRS, how many people you think are happy to get a letter or a phone call from you? 0 people ever. Everybody hates you. And even the people who, well, I'm going to try to be nice because this person might have the ability to be a pain in my butt if I don't grovel before them. But do you think anybody at the IRS has any illusions about being popular? The people love it when we contact them and say, we're thinking of maybe robbing you even more than we already did. And so their turnover rate is massive, which is one of the reasons they have so many colossal morons working there. It's because after somebody's there for 5 seconds, they quit because, wow, every single person I contact hates my guts. Imagine just being one of the people who calls people to harass them, just the IRS, just not even anything significant like a revenue agent, but you call people and go, this shows you have an outstanding balance. What do you think they're hearing day in and day? You bastard, I'm trying to earn a living, you pieces of shit. Like, no wonder they quit every 5 seconds, as they should. And so you have to understand the psychology of the agents of the state, because it's easy to think of government as this nasty, malicious thing. Most of its underlings do not think of themselves as that. Either they think, well, I'm just doing my job. I don't make the laws. I just mindlessly enforce them like a robot Nazi. But don't blame me. Like, some of them will think that, and others saying, I'm here, like, protecting people or serving the public. And if they don't hear from their victims, we don't like this, we don't respect you, we think you suck. And that isn't we, the people who were trying to rob a bank and got caught. That's we, the people who were trying to earn a living and just got a ticket for however many dollars for the wrong sticker, the wrong window tint. Like, you suck. We all hate you because you're just thieves. And it's, in the vast majority of cases in life, I think it's good to be nice to people. It is not good to be nice to people who are doing evil crap and imagining that they're not. Imagining that what they're doing is legitimate and noble, and they should be proud of it. They should be praised. We should thank them for their service. No, we shouldn't. All decent human beings, you can say it in a calm voice, you can say it quietly. But you should point out to people you're being violent thugs for the worst people in the world. You shouldn't do that. That's wrong. That's bad. That's destructive. You're not helping society. You're protecting and serving the ruling class and nobody else. And so you can even be nice while saying that. Sure, it all the way counts as nice to say, you suck. A pleasant voice. You're a piece of crap. But I'm going to say it in such a gentle way. But psychologically, it really is massively important how the thugs are treated and talked to. And to use an analogy I often use, if you have, like back in the days of literal chattel slavery, if the slaves are apologetic and, I didn't mean to do that, yes, I deserve this whipping, like the chances of the overseer, the whatever, ever having a twinge of conscience is basically zero. Like, your victims are telling you that it's their fault, you're victimizing it. And a lot of victims of state thuggery, one way or another, express the same thing to cops. I'm so sorry I made it so you have to rob me and threaten me and put me in a cage. Well, if you didn't threaten and harm anybody, you didn't make them do that. They chose to do that, which makes them the bad guy. And this is something that's already changing anyway, which is why not only the police, but the military has also come out and admitted, hey, for once we aren't meeting our recruitment goals. Good. People aren't signing up to be mindless pawns of the war machine. Glad to hear it. But those who already are, they need to hear that's not a good thing to be. You shouldn't be thanked for your service. And the weirdest thing to me is, while there's all the normal people who've never been in the military and just living their lives, just like, well, I would never dare to say that. I know lots and lots of people who dare to all the way come out and say, do not join the military. You're just going to be a pawn of evil, and they're going to treat you like crap too. And physically or mentally, you're very likely to be utterly destroyed. Oh, who would be so mean as to say that? The ones I know who say that the most often and the most zealously are former military people who are now voluntarists. And having been there, they're in a perfect position to say, I joined up, I was stupid like you. Thought I joined up to fight for freedom or some damn thing. And then I saw from the inside what it actually is. We're a giant gang of violent thugs. Some of them sadistic, some of them well-intentioned, but none of them benefiting from the experience of A, being treated like livestock, because as a member of the military, they make it quite clear you are their property. You're not an individual. You don't get to choose what to do. You obey orders. You kill who they tell you to kill. You blow up who they tell you to blow up. You don't matter. You're just a pawn of the machine. So you get no respect. You're treated like crap. And then your job is to treat everybody else like crap too. All around the world. Go around the world and treat everybody like crap. And then get thanked for your service. So and I know it's uncomfortable. I mean, for somebody like me who's pretty dang antisocial, introverted, like, I don't even go out of my way to talk to people about normal things, but I will literally make myself speak up in a usually calm way if somebody says, oh, like, there was a guy who nearby gas station was like, oh, I'm a veteran, and I'm going around, like, asking if people can donate some money, and he had a car and a family and stuff for groceries and stuff. And I don't know if he was running a scam or anything. I assume he was telling truth. I was in the, it was, I think the implication was supposed to be he got wounded in battle, like, oh, I have the thing in my leg. And I said, you got paid with money stolen from me. You got paid to go be a pawn for the ruling class, and you got paid with money that they stole from me. No, I don't have anything to give you. And it was just, I said it sort of in that tone of voice. It wasn't all that mean. He was like, okay. I was like, good luck. Like, now he's not a soldier anymore. But just something like that where I make myself, I could have just said, no, I don't have any money, because I don't. But I made myself point that out, because people need to hear why they don't deserve respect. They don't deserve, thank you for your service. They don't deserve people treating, whether it's cops or soldiers or tax collectors or any other damn bureaucrat. They deserve the hatred of the people. And if they're not feeling that on a daily basis, they can keep telling themselves, I'm the good guy. I protect and serve, or I'm just doing my job. They need to hear from decent people, you're doing bad shit. Your job is not okay. Following orders is not a good excuse. If you're a decent human being, you should quit and get a real job where people pay you voluntarily for doing something actually useful. And literally, if everyone talked that way to everyone in government, there wouldn't be anybody in government a few months later, because the pressure of that, just day in and day out, having people tell them, don't do that. What you're doing is inherently, if you're a tax collector, you suck. That's inherently immoral. What you're doing is robbing productive people to give money to political parasites and corrupt crooks. Stop doing that. Go get a different job. So the power of not being nice, even if it's in a calm voice, is massive because of how human psychology works. Again, I'll end with this. Not only do the victims of state aggression outnumber the thugs and the politicians a gazillion to one, but even the enforcers of the state outnumber the politicians a zillion to one. And if the enforcers go, I'm not going to do this anymore. Like, I no longer think I'm one of the good guys deserving of thanks and praise and protecting and serving the people. I see you through that crap, I quit. One by one they do that and they leave. Then there isn't a ruling class. If you subtract just the well-intentioned people from the equation, both the law-abiding taxpayers and the enforcers who meant well and the bureaucrats who meant well, if they all just say, we're not playing your stupid game, government just falls over. You don't need a revolution. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. It's easy to view government as this big, powerful, scary thing. It's only powerful because so many otherwise good people are giving their money, their resources, their support, their praise to this monstrosity. And if the good people just didn't work for it, didn't obey it, didn't pay tribute to it, refused to praise it, refused to treat the thugs like they deserve respect and praise for being thugs, that's the end. You don't have to change any of the bad people. You have to convince the good people to stop empowering the bad people. And that's all you have to do. And that ends all statism. Bad dog.